Hi, my name is Imo and welcome to my channel In My Opinion, where I discuss creative outlooks to endlessly inspire hope, connection, and self-love. Today I am on here to discuss why I keep swiping. Which direction? Right, left. Okay, lefty, left. Why I keep swiping left. Dating apps in particular, while they are a great way to meet people because you have all of the bachelors and bachelorettes all in one place and you get to pick from a pool of people, whereas like in everyday life, when you're at work or when you're at clubs or when you're walking down the street or wherever you might meet people, you never know who is interested in being in a relationship or not. And when it comes to dating apps, you have everybody all in one place. So that's really great. But there's this flip side of dating apps that I find to be very challenging. The whole idea of dating app as a social platform where you can quickly gloss over someone's profile and decide pretty much in an instant whether you want to connect with that person or not, lends to this type of superficial, mass-produced overconsumption dynamic on these apps, where it's easy to feel like you are in a grocery aisle and you are picking between what chocolate you want or what chocolate you don't want. And it's this kind of hyper-processed, very quick glazing over of a profile to determine, really based on barely any information, whether you would like to go on a date with this person or not. I find it quite tricky and challenging, and I would say that's one of the major difficulties of online dating. So these are the things that make me swipe left. People who make their hobbies and interests and things they like to do a personality type. So I've seen a lot of profiles where it's like, I like to travel, I like to go hiking, I like to have brunch. So people who make these aspects, these activities into their entire personality, such that you really don't know anything about them besides what they like to do. Now, I live in a very beautiful province where hiking, traveling, and of course eating, there's so many restaurants and eating places in the city I live in. Of course, like pretty much everyone here loves to do those things. So it would be very hard picking someone who you would feel is the right fit just based on these activities that they like to do. So people aren't always aware that, like, while mentioning your hobbies like hiking or traveling or going for brunch or cycling or a list of anything that one might be interested in doing, those activities, people aren't aware that while it's important to list the activities that you're interested in to find common interests, commonalities, what you do is not as important as who you are, your values, your outlook on life, your perspectives. And I find that people mention their hobbies and interests far more than they mention about who they are, their character, what they stand for, what their viewpoints about life are, what their beliefs are. Those aspects of really understanding and knowing who a person is are kind of put to the side. Somebody's hobbies and interests are always changing. At the same time, when you have a partner, they can adopt the same hobbies and interests that you do. They can take on these new activities. While it is important, it's not nearly as important as who you are. Another thing that makes me swipe left is people who don't fill out their profiles properly, and for every prompt they put, "Ask me." So it could be, how would you like to spend an evening together? Ask me. What do you see as your 5-year goal plan? Ask me. This whole idea of the ask me, I feel that it shows a type of impatience and maybe not being completely attentive and wanting to rush through the process of building your profile And when you do that, it's going to be very hard to find a connection, because when you see someone's profile and they've just mentioned like ask me or get to know me first, it feels like they just didn't put much time or thought into building up their profile. And the profile is your first impression of them. And if they're gonna take what is a first impression and not really invest in it, why should you? Like the fact that they haven't taken the time to write something even a little bit meaningful, I feel that it's very telling about what they're hoping to get out of it, which for me, I would say not much. As what one says on their profile creates an early connection and an avenue in which to explore that person deeper, and they've missed out on that chance. Another thing that makes me swipe left is people who don't put any pictures on their profile. So sometimes they just put like memes, or they very scantily fill out their profile and they don't put any pictures, and it's like, how am I supposed to gauge if I'm even attracted to you, or if there is a physical connection, just the most shallow connection there is given, yes, but how am I supposed to determine if I want to meet you if you don't even put your picture? Physical appearance is a very important part of a dating connection, because you're not a pen pal, you're going to be seeing them in person. And with them not putting any pictures, it kind of shows a lack of effort, a lack of seriousness, a missing of being intentional. People who put bad pictures. So something that I've seen is some of the guys on these dating apps, they put very serious looking pictures of themselves. So they might have a picture of themselves like and it's kind of like, are you trying to get a date, or are you applying for like WWE? Like, what's going on here? I don't really understand who they are taking these pictures for, or if they really have it in mind or remember that you're taking these pictures for the purpose of getting a date. Especially some of those pictures where it looks like a mugshot. Bad pictures is more like a lack of consideration and empathy, and perhaps understanding that the person on the other end viewing their profile is gonna wanna see them in a presentable manner. Another thing that makes me swipe left is people who make their profiles into a joke. I once saw this one profile where he said, what do I like in a girl? A girl who rubs my back. What would I like in a date? A date where they rub my back. What would I be looking forward to in terms of spending time with that person? The girl rubbing my back. So I'm not really into dating profiles where they make everything into a joke, and therefore I don't get to know much about their personality. People who express closed views on their profile, like women should be doing this, or women should be in the kitchen, or I don't want to date anybody who has kids. I think it's very reasonable to have specific deal breakers or expectations or standards, but when you put it on a profile so directly like that, and in a way that's kind of rude, it doesn't really bode well, even if you don't fit into those categories. People who mention their interests in such a way where it's like, you also need to be interested in this thing. So I remember one profile where the guy said that he was interested in like 21st century history or something like that. And then because I'm interested in history and those types of things in general, I messaged him, and his first question for me was like, oh, what's your topic of interest within 21st century history? And it's like, that makes me feel like they're just sizing me up to see if I'm like the female version of them intellectually, and I don't like that. I also don't like profiles where there's a lot of like muscle pictures. Now, I appreciate a guy who has a good physique, but I don't really like the guy to lead with that. Some profiles I've seen, like almost every picture, if they have like 4 pictures, all of their pictures will be them like maybe in the gym, like showing their muscles. And it's just like, this is not boding well, because the fact that you are leading with your physical appearance, and specifically like a sexual element, an element of your body that's quite sexualized, or what you look like in that way, it doesn't serve to show me much about your personality. And then it's gonna lead me to maybe like perhaps generalize about you and what they're looking for. It kind of creates an expectation or an understanding that their sexuality, or the way they present themselves, their physicality, will be a very important or leading part of the connection that they're trying to build with the other person, because that's what they've led with when they've put a muscle pic in like every section where they can put a pic, they've put a muscle picture. I also don't like bro-y type energy on profiles. So pictures of guys like drinking beer, or like a lot of memes, or a lot of like bro-y jokes on the profile. It makes me think like, again, who are they trying to attract? Are they trying to attract a date, or are they trying to attract a bromance? There's nothing wrong with being goofy, but there's this type of goofiness that is sort of like, almost like they're appealing their profile to one of the boys, rather than like, for example, if it's like a heterosexual connection, they're not really like appealing it to a woman. And while that bro energy can be fun, it's goofy, it's, you know, cute, it's almost like they forget that they are trying to attract a partner. In which case, it would be better to show more sides of their gentleness, their softness, those nuances of what makes a relationship. Ultimately, what I think it comes down to for me is, I like those profiles where I feel like I get an essence or a sense, even if it's a tiny sense, of who that person really is. I love it when people share about who they are, what their personality is like. Do they have a sense of humor? Are they introverted and or extroverted? When they share the things that are important to them, like if they're like their family, or their goals, or their aspirations, or their interests like music, or specific things that they are excited or passionate about, in particular nerdisms or obsessions, cute obsessions. When you can see that quirk and idiosyncrasy of that person, I feel that their profile really comes alive, and I feel like those are the types of profiles that I will swipe right on. I think the heart of the matter for me is that I want to get to know who a person is. And all of these reasons I've given for why I swipe left does not allow me to really get to know who the person is. And I think when it comes to dating apps, you really only have so much information to go off of to make a decision. When people don't take the time to really slow down and fill them out, then you miss out. You don't really get to know these people. And I guess that makes it easier somehow finding someone on a dating app, because I remember the last time I was on a dating app, I could literally swipe left through people for like 1 hour. Only have like 2 or 3 people that I had swiped right on and like for potential matching. So I guess it does make it easy, but at the same time it makes it hard, because there are so many people to get to know, and these profiles and the way they're filled out do not allow you to get to know them that way. So I would love to know, for those who are engaging in dating on apps, What makes you swipe left? What makes you swipe right? Please comment, like, and subscribe for more content. Bye.